question, but I'll save that for later. That's on the overhang because I can't seem to get the overhang to, or I can't seem to change it.
Yep, we'll get that. We'll walk you through it, and it's probably how you build it. But this is what I would guess that they're trying to do.
Okay.
Take those two, remove that, finish, and then there's probably another roof. And this one, none of those define a slope. Let's see. This one here, that's just because this is not quite far enough.
Right, and that's the problem that I was having.
That's exactly right. That's the problem that you're probably having is when it's trying to do that attach.
Yeah.
It's just missing it. So what you can do is you could go to this top view, you could edit this, and because I drew this as a rectangle, you're saying, well, Brian, there's no way for me to put the overhang in here. What you can do is you could do an offset move, and you can make that a 2-foot overhang, hover, and tab, and it would offset all of those lines. So now they would all hit.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And could I just highlight all of my roofs and do that the same way?
You have to do the tab in the chain for the offset.
Okay.
You have to play with that. You have to play with that a little bit. See what this thing probably does is probably something more like this. That's probably how the back of that house looks.
Okay.
Okay, so it's got this little roof over that little kick out. Let me see your plan again. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have warned you.
You're okay. This is all I got.
Yeah, do you see how they put the shower and the tub out there? I'm guessing that's almost like a bay window. It's almost got its own little architecture because I would imagine they're trying to keep those trusses the same. So they've basically got two different size trusses, the one for the garage or three, one for the garage, one for over the bedroom and the master suite, and one for over the main body, and then they're probably just stick framing the roof over that. But
Okay.
don't be wrong. You could do it multiples of ways, but what happens is the way that you did it, it's made the back of that roof uh really complex as far as how water would leak, and it's not exactly attractive.
Yeah, it don't look too good. As soon as it happened, and I checked it, I didn't really
Yeah,
like it.
yeah, well, and I'll be honest, just being able to build the roofs is a major challenge that a lot of people struggle with and get very frustrated with Revit. Now
Yeah.
I'm gonna kick back to my screen because I want to show you something.
Okay.
All right. So on the front of your house, what you're actually gonna have, architectural roof. Because you're gonna have a couple of these guys. And then this and this. We take the defined slope off. So it's just this rectangle with slopes on either side. Now, let me get him up in the space. See how it's like that? You had some dormers I remembered on your view. And then what I'm trying to
Yeah.
show you is how to build them.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's see if I pulled this back so that it was lined up with the edge of the roof. The command you're going to look for is underneath the modify, there's that one right there. You see it?
Yeah.
That allows you to join a roof. Let's see. Pick this. Join the roof. You pick this edge, and then you pick this edge, and it'll take it right back to it.
Okay. Does it matter what edge specifically, that outer edge, or can I do the top? Like the top of the roof where it creases.
If you noticed when I did it, let's see if we copy this down. Okay. I just did that by holding the control button and dragging it. That's a copy.
Okay. That's actually very useful.
You see how that edge, how it's picking that edge?
Yeah.
You got to get the right one. See, that's what I'm looking to extend. Oh no, I picked something else.
Okay, I got you. So you want the edge that you want to connect to it. You got to pick that line.
That line.
Okay.
Then you got to pick the face that it runs into. Can you see it highlighting in blue? Yeah, you can see it a little bit. You see how it's up across that ridge? So to answer your question, when I go back here, what happens is it wants to pick that back face. Now, I could hover over that and tab and get that front face. See, everything about Revit is how you actually select that object. And just like Jaffe flies around that damn grasshopper, I can fly around and I know my controls, my shifts, my tabs, which is sort of ironic because that's what Jaffe knows about Rhino. He knows when to hit Alt. He knows when to hit Control Shift. And it's just going to take you clicking to get that comfortable. That means a lot of clicking before you feel comfortable with that. That's why you have to do a lot of drawing in order to get comfortable with the software.
Right.
And once that sucker's joined, then what people don't know is you can go in here and you can do this nudge. See, so you can start to feel, how do I want to make those dormers end up working? And people don't realize that. They think that everything has to be drawn exact. To be quite honest with you, one that I probably did, dude, I'm telling you, 8 years. When I thought I was good at building these roofs, what I would end up doing was that roof, I would come in here and I would draw it like this. Like that. Then I would take this slope off. And then I would take that off. And then I would draw a line without defining the slope. I'd draw that at a 45. And I'd draw this at a 45. And I would do all of this math to figure out where that was actually happening, right? So if I move this thing up, you would see I basically got the same thing, but now I would have to make that one line exactly hit there. Now you can do that, okay? So I could come in here and I could do a move and I could pick this point and come down to pick that point right there, and it would appear the same, okay? The problem is, if I took these three guys, the two that they have that are joined and automatic, as well as mine, and I change the pitch, what happens is that 45 would no longer be a 45, and mine just came away from the roof. Or actually, you can see it went into the roof, because what happens is my angle's not cut correctly. And then I would go through all this geometric nonsense to figure out, where does that actually hit? See, so you can see I'm just doing this approximately right now, but you have to do the math to make this stuff exact. If you really want a correct model, what would happen is, when I look at this from the top view, I would need to figure out where that exact point was right there. Because you see where my point is way inside there. So I would need to take this, and then I'd come out here something like this and something like this, and it wouldn't be exact. And anytime I change the pitch, as opposed to the ones that are automatically attached, you see they recalculated all that on their own.
Yeah, it's just less work, quicker.
Right? Okay. So another thing you've got is on your second level. Come on. On your second level, you're going to have a wall. Let's get out of that stupid command. Let's just go with a 4-inch brick. You're going to have
That's the chimney? Yeah.
And all that's going to be a wall is a wall that starts at the second level, not at the ground level. Because what it's going to be is it's going to be the size of the chimney that you see in that elevation. It's not going to be near as big. On the ground floor, it's going to be larger because those chimneys open up. You have the hearth and everything. But you'll see that now, right? And then if my chimney's not tall enough, I can just start moving that height up. However I move it up, right?
Right. Is that hollow in the side? Does that cut a hole through it?
If you wanted to cut a hole through that roof, you would probably be using one of these guys here, would be one way to do it. Or remember what Eric told you, right? Island detection methodology. If I come in here and I draw without a defined slope right on there, what's our rule? Remember how we did that? We did that with the floor slab, right?
Yeah. Oh, I got you. Okay, yeah. It just slices right through because you slap the roof on top of a roof.
Technology, right? And here I'm going to draw another one. That's just going to sort of go like this. And you'll see that that could be for a skylight.
Huh. Okay. So it applies the same rules.
That's the big one to understand. I wouldn't say same, but similar rules.
Okay.
Similar. Now, you could remember when Eric said you could do that with the floor slab, and then I came back and said you could do it with a shaft. Well, yep, you could do it with a shaft, and you could also do it with this vertical opening.
Yeah.
And see, that's what they're actually showing you how to do that with the vertical opening. They're saying just come in here. Let's see, what are they saying? Vertical. And then they want you to do what? Select the roof. And then you're going to draw it. And I'm going to do this so it doesn't get confused. And I could put a circular opening right in that hole, right in that thing.
And does that cut through your entire building or just your roof?
No, that one appears. Understand, I don't use this one. That appears to cut through a roof. When I hover, you see how it says through a roof, a floor, or a ceiling.
Okay, I got you.
But Eric would say to you, why do that when what you can do is do the exact same thing by just drawing a circle in this mode, right? How is that any different?
Yeah.
And that's where you got to realize that Revit will always, anything you do to create your model, I promise you I could use entirely different commands and get the same exact look. So it's
is there reasoning behind the different ways ever involved in calculation for materials or anything like that you would know of?
I don't think so.
I was just curious, like the shaft.
I don't think so. I think there's going to be. All right, here's one thing that would happen. So if I take this roof and I move it, what you're going to find, you see how that one hole
is not.
It looks like it's actually still floating in the middle below the one dormer.
What's that?
It looks like the circle for it was still floating near that one dormer.
Do you see how the one circle and the one rectangle change and the other ones don't? Miss the wall. So in other words, watch the small circle. It moves with the roof, but the big circle does not. You see how the chimney moves? The chimney hole is moving with the roof. That's because I did it inside the sketch.
Okay. So if you wanted to keep that hole for the chimney, but maybe say move the skylight, you could use those two different ones.
You could use absolutely. You could use the difference between.
So you
That
could
would be
use
the-
that vertical for the chimney, and then just slap the roof on top of the roof for maybe say a skylight.
Yes, yeah. Well, and even better than that, if I do the vertical, right, and I'm going to now need to pick the roof, and then I would draw this shape, and then I would say finish. All right. The benefit of me doing that would be if I go like this and select, you would think I have 4 objects, right? 4 walls. But look down here.
Yeah, you're selecting 5.
I'm selecting 5. If I went to the filter, you would actually see I've selected the walls and the roof opening cut. So that means if I was to then move my chimney,
It would move the hole as well.
well, interesting. It grabbed that. It grabbed the roof. I wouldn't have thought that. Let's see. By grabbing those 4, why is it grabbing the roof? The roof is not selected. That's pretty bizarre. Wouldn't be the way I would expect the behavior. Like I said, and what you've got to understand is, you see these openings? These openings weren't there when I learned Revit. So I learned the other way to add the opening, where it was in the sketch, where it's this pink line. That's why Eric and I lean more
That's
towards
why I do
that.
that as well.
Right. And could you do the same thing, like I was saying, keeping that chimney open while also moving a skylight? Would it just take more time though? Because then you would have to go back and edit all those other roofs that you've added to make the holes.
Well, and that's where you're exactly right. It's all about the efficiency, and it's not until you've tested it and your brain gets wrapped around it that you know which one's the right one to use. And even after 15 years, I'll be honest with you, I don't always select the right one to use. Sometimes I sit there and say, I wish I would have done it another way.
Yeah. Now,
like one of my favorite ones that I've learned over time was this one here. So if we take and we build that goofy wall, right? All right, and let me take this guy and do a WT. Take this. Where's that goofy wall at? This wall right here is that wall right there. All right. So a lot of times what they'll do is they'll add other materials, like a different kind of wall type. I'm going to add one down here like this guy. All right. You wouldn't think this would happen, but if I took that wall and I put that right on top of the other wall, okay, it's going to say that's a bad idea. You shouldn't overlap those 2 walls. But if you then know that you can take and cut the one wall from the other wall. See, so this instead of this being a little wall that goes from here to here and then from here to here, what I did was use that cut command to actually join those 2 walls together. And I'm sure there's people out there that don't even know you could do this, that have been using Revit for a long time. See, so what another person might need to do to create that exact same wall, is they might say, oh, Brian, well, the way that I do that is I would draw this wall from here. Other way.
No,
Here
that's
to
what we
here.
did on that curtain wall, right?
That it's exactly the same as the curtain wall because it has that automatic cut in it.
Yeah.
But see where the frustration would be is, okay, I'm doing good. Create similar. But how do I put that little bit of wall above there?
Right.
Right. And then when you, and especially when you've got these walls that have all of this stuff built into it, these bands and everything, you say, oh, okay, well, let me do a BX around this so I don't see everything. You say, well, I could just go like this and bring another one of these walls up here, right? And I can pull this wall back to here and pull the bottom of it. Oop. And pull the bottom of it up. And it's saying it can't do it. What about if I do this? What about if I say the bottom is 6 foot up? 8 foot up. The gist of it is you start to see that now Eric or I would say, oh, we got to go modify. We need a wall just like this that's got these top caps and all this stuff on here. And this sweep is down lower. So you'd have to duplicate this wall, removing all this stuff from the bottom. Then you could drag this back down to here. Right?
Yeah. And then it would look like the one you did before, but
And then
it would
look
just take
like
more
the one I
time.
did over on that other side. That's exactly correct. And another thing that you would see is when you're looking at this in detailed mode, this doesn't make any sense because these studs stagger like that. So what you really want is that stud thing to line up with itself, and all of this inset or outset, whatever you're doing to punch on the wall, that all has to be done with these cavities in here. But this is a very common way that a model starts to get more developed. And I'm just saying, what people don't know is that they can do that by simply, and it's not what you would think, because if I use a very thin wall, right, you would not think this thin wall here would allow you to, if I do that cut, you would think it would not cut the whole thing out, but watch what it does. Modify, cut this wall with that object, cuts all the way through it. And see, that's where I'm saying, if this guy had a real stud, what does this one say? This one says this is brick on a metal stud. And if I went to the structure, I could see that that's a 6-inch stud. So if I used,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think this part right here, editing the properties and editing the structure, is gonna take the longest for me to understand.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Because everything else is like it comes a lot quicker. Like being able to draw the walls, put it into the 3D view, move around, drag and click, that's fine. But when I get into, the other windows like the property tab and the edit type, it gets a lot more complicated because there's more numbers and words involved.
Yeah, well, and you're dealing with a little bit of information overload at this point. Okay? Because you're not even talking about just learning the software, you're talking about learning how the drawings are put together and how the construction's done.
Yeah.
Brian, if you change the profile of one of those inner walls that are embedded in the other wall and give it an arch top, will it cut the arch out too?
All right, so what he's talking about is anytime we pick on a wall up here at the top, we the attach and the detach. He's talking about this one here allows you to edit the profile. which allows you to go into a sketch mode on the wall and allows you to take and put another shape there.
And then arch it. Okay.
So Eric, think
Yeah,
about
I
how many
think-
times. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I think that Revit or Autodesk does you no favors with those wall types the way they are, because this is way more powerful, as you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Nathan doesn't see the power, but this is one of those ones where I promise you, people who've been using this software for 5 or 6 years don't know that this exists. And if they did, there was a thing that I said a long time ago, Nathan, that I would tell Eric and Misty and everyone. I really can't imagine a building that you can have that I can't draw in one day. In one day.
That's
Whether
pretty crazy.
whether that be a school or whatever it is, don't get me wrong, it might be more than 8 hours in that day, but by the next day, I could typically have most buildings put in because I was that quick at being able to draw with them. And you
Yeah.
will get to that level probably about your, I don't know, about your 10th model, which is why we got to get you just keep drawing, to just keep drawing and keep drawing and answer your questions and show you new techniques. And it's not going to take that long.
Okay.
It will be sped up by you being able to hit save.
Yeah.
I mean, you earned a good brownie point by you being willing to draw that house that you're drawing, knowing that it's going to disappear as soon as you close Revit. Most people wouldn't do that.
Well, I think that's the difference, though, because like I said before, it's exciting for me to do this. So me being able to draw that, I know there's going to be more, and I'm excited to draw, more than just that. So I'm not too worried about it. But when, jobs start coming up, I get it. Being able to save and go back and look and, review what you did and what you did wrong.
Well, the exciting part is that entry level, when we start doing a job, if we can do some of the higher complex stuff and get some repetitive stuff that you just have to click through, because there's going to be a lot of things that drive Eric and I nuts, where we're like, okay, I've got a good process to do this. Now I got to go do it to 150 sheets. And for the next 4 hours, you're going to do the same thing. You will lose the excitement, that freshness of, wow, this is really cool. I'm creating something new. We still get that, right? Because we still, when we're looking at a new building, you're like, I never did that skylight or anything before. How do I create that skylight? Which is one of the ones that I love to show people, because people think that typically when they go to building a skylight, they think it's really difficult. Okay. However, there's a really cool thing, and that is, see this roof? All right.
Yeah.
So this might be one of those times where you decide that's why it's not beneficial to draw those things in there. Those cuts in that shape, is you see how it brought all those same cuts. So I'm going to edit this footprint. I'm going to get rid of all those little cut objects in there. Right. So I just have this roof. Matter of fact, I might even take these two and make them define a slope. One thing I want you to walk away with: if you have not used the select walls, don't try to use this overhang. This overhang is only when it's attached to the walls. Does that make sense?
I think that's where my problem was coming in.
Well, that's one of those rules that you have to sort of get defined to you, and then you're like, oh, I get it. What a lot of people don't know is you remember how we could take this wall right here and we could turn this wall into this storefront. And it's like, oh, cool. Now it's windows. Well, guess what? With a roof, it's called slope glazing. And then once you do the sloped glazing, if you remember, now by all means, the sloped glazing, we could put rules in it. We could say the layout one is a fixed distance, and I want 5 foot. Grid 2 is a fixed distance, and I want this to be 2 feet. And then I could tell it that I want these mullions to be, the default mullions are going to be these 2.5 by 5s. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V. One more. And what happens now is that thing will automatically get grids put to it and be a skylight. And by all means, that might be more like these ones. And these ones don't define a slope. And now it would just be up at that one angle. Right?
Yeah.
So there's been people asking me, Brian, how can I tip this curtain wall over? You can't. Well, what you can do is you can take this guy, you can take the slope glazing and you could put that at any slope you wanted. So you can see somewhere down here is a 912. If I start making that extremely steep, like 55, gonna take it a second because it's probably going to be extremely tall, right? And now it's a slope face on one of my high rises. But you can see, did you notice how it hesitated? It had a lot of math to do to figure all that out. Now, one that's pretty cool that people don't realize they can do is, even though when I look at these grids, you'll see these grids are 5 foot fixed distance and they're perpendicular to each other. In that properties box, I do have the ability to change that angle. Okay. So I can make the second set run at 30 degrees. And then you'll see there are a bunch of trapezoidal shapes. They're actually parallelograms, I think it would be. However, do you see what it's doing? Do you see how it's dragging? This is where you should instantly say, what am I doing wrong? Why is it taking so long? But the idea was you could rotate that set of mullion patterns if you need to. But the one everybody misses is if you go in and you make a roof, and you make that roof, I typically like to show this with a straight line and then a curve. All right. I'm going to do a BX so everything else sort of goes away.
What's the quickest way to get out of that BX?
Come over here and hit this section box right there.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, that's what I was doing. I just didn't know if there was another shortcut to get out.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
But what I was after was, what people don't know is they can take this guy and make these three things define a slope. So you start to get this. Can you see the shape that I've created?
Yeah.
And then this ought to be interesting how much it likes this. Change that to the sloped glazing. Now, the interesting thing about the sloped glazing as well as the curtain wall, okay? If I draw, and I want to draw a curtain, let's see, we'll put this into level 2 so we can see it. So if I wanted to draw a curve like this was a greenhouse type thing.
Yeah.
If I take and I draw a wall with the curve, come here and come here and go like that, that works pretty good. All right. We could take this guy and start this at level 1 and go up to level 2. And the only reason it doesn't look that big is because that section box is on. Now, if you take that wall and turn it to the undefined curtain wall that doesn't have any divisions in it, what it's going to do is it's going to make that guy go straight across like that. And that drives people absolutely nuts. What needs to happen is you have to start adding some curtain grids, and then it'll follow that curve. See, because Revit is smart and it knows that we don't make curved pieces of glass anymore. They used to do that in the old days, but these days a piece of curved glass is extremely expensive. And the reason I'm trying to explain this to you is that problem is the same problem that's happening out here. See?
Right.
So by me dividing it into enough facets, I can start to get this green room shape that I will tell you. I've seen people try to manually extrude that and manually make that. How do they do that, manually create that stuff? Well, that was one of the things that I did want to cover today. Let's see, we'll take this section box off. Is when we go into component, we talked about the load family. Well, there's also this one called model in place. Now, for years, and maybe Eric may even still feel this way.
I still avoid it.
You still avoid it.
I did a canopy that way in the very early days, like 2007, 2008, and it chewed me up because I just didn't quite get what was going on. I actually ended up building the canopy in an external family.
Correct. Which then makes it a little bit hard to edit it because you don't have the geometry that's in there. But that in-place family, I'm with Eric. 99 times out of 100, I would tell people, no, that's not the use of a model in place. But what the use of a model in place might be the detail work around your fireplace. Okay, the hearth and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
The only reason I say that is if you're going to use that same fireplace in another building or in another one of your projects, then you definitely don't want to do it as model in place. It's very hard to take these model in place objects and take them from one file to another or even use them a second time on your job. They're really designed only for like one-time use. So if you want to come up with a reason to do it, it would be because your fireplace is extremely special. But I would warn you, it's like Eric said, it's a lot of times easier to do it in the actual family, but it does give you some experience on how to do your modeling. Okay, so understand, I wouldn't disagree with Eric. It's rare, very rare for me to do a model in place, but I want to at least show it. So I would be saying, and this is where the first frustration comes in, is the reason that, Eric, I would say that I would do a model in place is if I have a hard time putting it in a category. So if it was a wall, I could see doing that because you can't make a wall family, right? You can't make a roof family. So there's that. If you want it to be categorized with that stuff, I can sort of understand it. So once we say okay, and then this is where you would name it to help yourself, fireplace. Now we're in this mode where what we can do is hit to create, and these look very similar to our families. We can do an extrusion, we can do a blend, we can do That was some weird noise. Who's giving feedback? Someone getting weird noise?
Sorry, it could be my the noise outside.
That's fine. That's fine. So if we're right here, if we did an extrusion for this fireplace, and it might look like that, finish. The idea is then you could stretch it up. Then you could come back and create another extrusion. And I'll be honest with you, and I'll show it to you after I do it, but you've got to shape something like this in your fireplace, right? Oh, and it tells me that I didn't finish drawing my shape, because remember, it's got to be closed. Now I could draw it, then I would take this thing up. And what happens is our shapes can either be solids or voids. And if I made that into a void, then what happens is I can come back here and I could cut that shape out. And that's the shape of my fireplace. And then I could continue to create. Now, by all means, that extrusion, you would notice you could have made that a void on your own. I don't typically recommend that because it automatically joins it. And we'll talk about that more later. But you would also then need out here a hearth, which would probably only go up 1 inch, right? And then I'll show you one more. I'm just trying to give you a flavor of this stuff. But maybe I wanted to put a mantle on this thing. And maybe I want that mantle to wrap around the side. So one of the ones you can create is a sweep. In which case I could say, you got two choices. A sweep has two objects. It's got a path and it's got a profile. So I'm going to go ahead and say, sketch this path. And I'm going to say that this goes from here to here, here to here, which would then allow me to down here, zoom to that. Notice how I selected that object first and then hit the cube. That allowed it to zoom to just the object. Otherwise, it would have zoomed to everything on my screen. And if I then said, finished my path and put a profile, what you would see is a shape just got ripped around there, right? And if I decided, oh, you know what? That shape, I actually want to be curved. That makes sense? And you have to get to the point where you can model like that. But Eric's right in the fact that when you do all this as an in-place model, it gets very frustrating because you got all this other stuff going on. This type of fireplace may have been built better by doing it in a regular family as opposed to an in-place family.
Right.
But I just want to at least get you to the point where you're going to start creating those families using these commands. But I want to hold on that till you can actually hit save.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think definitely working on like creating the families and adjusting the properties and just messing more around with the software is definitely going to improve my knowledge. And
show me your Revit again. Show me your Revit again. Pull your Revit up. All right.
It's up.
All right. So you're actually in a roof footprint right now. You were drawing something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna do that. What was it called again? These things that go on the front.
Dormers.
Dormers. Okay, yeah. I was doing that as you were showing me.
Yep. And you could throw a front porch on as I mean, you're close. You're very close to having something initially in there. Let's look at zoom into one of the edges of your roof. All right.
That
Typically what we do at that roof is if you look underneath the roof command, the arrow underneath it, you should add a fascia and then potentially a gutter. So go ahead with the fascia first. Try picking the top edge of that roof.
right here.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And click. And you see what it did? It just put a little piece of board on the end of that. See that little piece of board?
Yeah. And then you want me to add.
That's very similar to wall sweeps, basically.
Okay. To the bottom or the top?
I think that one goes to the top, but it might actually, you'll see once it goes in. Right? Now you
Yeah.
could look at it from that pure end. So on the cube, click on the word right on the cube in the 3D cube. It would take you right to it. Then
Yeah.
you could select on that and use your down arrow and nudge that down a little bit. You're still placing it. There you go. Uh-huh. And then nudge down. Does it allow you? Yeah. I thought it would allow you. Right?
Yeah. I got you.
All right. So show me if you go to the project browser and scroll down a little bit in the project browser, there's a spot for sheets. You know where the project browser is. Perfect.
Yep.
Hit the plus next to sheets all. And let's see what the first floor plan looks like.
Okay.
So what they did was they actually created a sheet and put that floor plan on the sheet just to
Okay.
get people started. But what I want you to do is click right there and then hit delete.
Click right here.
And then delete, and it's going to delete the view off the sheet. Now, if you go to your project browser and scroll up, you'll notice how you see how some of those things have a square that's grayed out and a square that's blue. If it's
Yeah.
a square that's blue, that means it's already on a sheet. See how the square for first floor is grayed out?
Yeah.
That's because we took it off of this sheet. If you take from there and drag it onto the sheet,
Take
drag
from
that,
here.
drag that over and drop that on the sheet. You'll see that what it does is it's going to put that guy right back in.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And it looks like you didn't get to the dimensioning.
No, I did want to save that because hold on, what's happening here?
Also looks like this one doesn't have those rooms in them. Remember we put the rooms in?
Oh, they do. It's just in a different here. Shaded.
Oh, you're not seeing those. I'll tell you why that's happening. Take that back to the hidden line. There you go. There they are.
Right. I was just in wireframe. That way I could see the.
Yep. And that's allowing the image to land on top of them.
Yeah. There are a few more things that I do want to ask you about, like the terraces and the these single windows. Because right now when I go to window, I only have double casement. I don't have a single casement, and I'm assuming I have to create that.
Or you could do load family. Remember that one?
Oh,
and
yeah.
Remember we went up a folder. If you go up a couple folders, I think I got you the 2020 ones. There you go. One more up. And you should see you have Revit 2020 and Revit 2025. You need to look in that Revit 2020 folder. and then libraries. And remember, this is where I told you if you right click on US Imperial and said open,
Where's that?
try that right click again on the word. Right. And
I already have that here.
And that's where you could say search in the search.
Yeah.
For casement. There must not be named casement. What did they name their window? Pick on your view on your window casement. I guess they didn't provide you any casement, any single casement windows.
Yeah.
So the answer to your question is, yep, you would end up having to create those window casements. Which, believe me, that's where most people end up getting derailed.
Yeah.
Because creating those windows and those doors, it can be a full-time chore.
Is there any way I can just
personally, you know what I would probably do is I wouldn't use casement windows. I'd use single hung windows. Then you would find that they did give you a couple single hung windows.
Yeah. Wait. Nope, just double hung.
Yep, that double hung just means that the top pane and the bottom pane go up and down. So you're just looking for one that's approximately the size of that window in the back, which is probably 24 inches.
Yeah, it looks about right.
Right. That one looks a little bit bigger. That might be a 30-inch.
My library has a window casement double, triple, and single, and the single's got a left and right. It's called window casement dash single.
Let's see what mine does.
You said window casement dash single?
It's window dash casement dash single.
Oh.
And then it's underscore left and underscore right.
What?
Which is funny because I just did the search in my browser and it does not show it up.
You said window dash casement dash single underscore right?
Yes.
Okay, I have it. Yeah.
So I don't understand why the casement didn't come up when you did the search unless the dashes are problematic there.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm having the exact same thing, Eric. That's a good question. Window dash casement. Nothing found.
Putting the dash behind it doesn't seem to work either.
If you put window in your search browser, all the windows will pop up.
Yeah, that's what I did originally.
Oh, I know why. If you did asterisk casement, that's why. That's where your search was bad. Do asterisk casement.
Yep, that's it.
Asterisk, isn't that this?
But that seems odd, does it not?
I'm guessing. No, I guess it doesn't. No, asterisk is the shift 8.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
And that's a wild card. And so that's saying anything that's named anything before the word casement. And there you go.
Hmm.
I'm on mute for a second.
Okay, so I do have that family in there then. So I could replace those.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. There we go. That one's a little bit bigger.
Well, if you place it, then you can go back and adjust the size.
Okay.
So just click on one of them. Now, if you adjust that size, you're going to adjust it for all the types that you just put in. But you're also then going to, if you need a 24 by 36, you're then going to not have 24 by 36. So this is where you would edit type. Do a duplicate. Name it what size you're going for.
What size would that be?
I'm not sure. I'd have I'd have to know what size they're calling for there. My guess is it wouldn't be as tall. You're probably looking at smaller ones, but I could be wrong.
Let's show you some other commands that you need to get you that answer to that question. Yeah, that's what I would have done. That's exactly. And what did you do? Did you draw a line or you did the measure tool?
I just did the measure tool.
Okay.
Would drawing a line be better?
Well, when you draw a line, what happens? Why don't you do that? Do annotate and draw yourself a line. And what I was going to show you was first. A lot of times when we're working on stuff, it helps if we can not have to see other things. And you played with the VV so you could turn your roof off, right?
Yeah.
But you turned those roofs off permanently, which meant if you didn't remember to go turn them back on, your sheet wouldn't look right. So what we do is we turn things off temporarily. So if you zoomed out a little bit so you could click on the image thing. Yep. Perfect. Now, down next to the light bulb that I showed you yesterday to show you hidden things, there's a pair of eyeglasses. That's our temporary hide. And what I want you to do is say isolate element. This is going to turn everything else off except for that element. You see how there's a red box around your window? That tells you you've got things temporarily hidden. Okay? So now if you zoomed into that window, you could get a feel for what that window was. This is where I'm saying that you could draw a line, go to annotate, draw the detail line from the one edge to the other. Perfect. Now hit escape 2 times. Now pick on the line and pick on the dimension above that. Yep. Now you could say Control C to copy that dimension out so you don't have to type it. And now you know you need to make a 2'8" window. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then could I just delete these?
And then you usually those drafting lines are going to end up getting deleted as well as the image eventually.
Okay.
You're moving whenever you accidentally grab something and you start moving it and you're like, oh no, don't move it. Hit the escape key and it'll get you out of that command and put it back where it was as long as you didn't release it.
Oh, okay, cool. Can I just undo them?
You can do an undo as well. Yep.
That didn't move anything, did it?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. And now you just go back down to those eyeglasses and you say reset temporary hide and isolate, and it'll turn everything back on.
Cool. And then I click on this, edit type. Now I selected duplicate earlier. Did I?
Nope. It's not the duplicate one. You must have escaped out of that and got rid of it. So do your duplicate. You'll
Okay.
see it'll put a number 2 after it, where really what you would want to say is this is actually a 32 by 36-inch window. And I will tell you, I just happen to know it's not going to end up being a 32 by 36 because a 36-inch window will not go above the sink. But you're fine. You're fine. You just leave it at that. And now go down to your width where it says 24 inches. Down a little bit. Yep, right in there. You just passed it. Right
Gotcha.
there. And that's the one that we would do that paste or 2'8". Your choice.
So I can just do the whole thing and paste?
Yep. You should remember that 2'8" that you had.
Yep.
You're going to find my gaming mouse. I use 2 of those programmable buttons, one for Control C and one for Control V. That is something we're doing all day long is copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. So if you have a programmable mouse, that's a good one to put in there. And there you would have
I
that
do.
window.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And then
That's pretty good. That's where what we'll end up doing is when you dimension, you want to make sure that you don't have these little bugger fraction 7/16. You make all those dimensions nice and clean.
That's what I was just going to say. You don't necessarily have to fuss being 100% in place right now, because when you dimension it, you're going to snap on those dimensions, or you're going to snap on the pieces. You're going to see that it's 3'6" and 7/8, and you're going to clear the 7/8 out so that it's on a 2-inch. We try and keep the 2-inch increments on that kind of spacing.
okay. Do you want to get into dimensioning now?
I was actually just looking at that. You know, we got through the architecture tab. It wouldn't be a bad idea to go right into the annotate tab, because the next ones are structure, steel, precast, and systems. I will tell you the systems, if you just click on it, you're going to see that that's where we place ductwork and all of our mechanical equipment and all of our pipes and all of our cable tray and that kind of stuff. And it's not a bad idea to keep this more architectural, get the architectural done, and then we'll go back and explore the structural and the systems tabs.
Okay.
Do we have that, Eric? In 2020, we have structural, we have steel. We do not have precast. That's a new one that they added.
Correct. Precast is new.
Yeah, yeah. And then we got systems, and then insert. If you click on the insert, gives us a chance. All right, so you got Revit links, and that's typically, we are going to work a lot with Revit links, because I'm not the template, the way it's set up. If you look at your, I think, yeah, yours has first floor electrical, first floor framing. I don't recommend that you put all those disciplines into one file. And I think it was even worse with the template that you had used yesterday. I think it even had the plumbing and the mechanical. So it's sort of ironic. Revit, Autodesk, once again, starts you out in the wrong direction. What I'm trying to tell you is that first button on there, Revit link.
Yeah.
Typically, what I would recommend is you build all the architecture in one file. You build all the plumbing in one file. You build all the mechanical in one file. And what you do is you link those files together. And we'll get deeper into that, but that's typically how I set up a building. The site work, I don't typically do that in there with the architecture because once you end up doing is you don't add that topography till later, and then you mess up all your views by putting that in there. So what I want to explain to you is that Revit link we will use. The
Okay.
next one over is the link IFC, which I don't know why yours is grayed out. Is that because he's in a 2D? No.
I don't know
No.
why they would do or clear it for that.
It may just not have added that extension. The next then after that is Link CAD, which we will do, but we really don't like to do. It's a bad idea to do that to your file. The next one is Link Topography. That must be talking about Civil 3D. Why wouldn't they call that CAD? It's going to be a DWG. Once again, don't really use it very often. DWF markup. I can't believe they still have that in there. Can you even make a DWF anymore? Didn't they go away from that, Eric?
They went away from that a while back.
Well, somehow it's still in there. Then
I
the
don't
next
even know
one,
the DWF file format supported anymore. Like you said, I don't think you can make it.
so you think they just let it in there for people? That's rotten. That's just rotten programming. The next one is place decal, which you might try in the beginning, but you'll quickly find is not a good idea. You will put those decals in your actual families. You don't want a bunch of decals floating around. So the gist of it is what I'm trying to get to is most of the insert tab is next to useless. The
Right.
point cloud, we talked about that a little bit this morning.
Yeah.
That is when they go out to a site and they take a 3D picture with one of those fancy high-dollar cameras, and it gives you back a point cloud. I don't think those work very good in Revit either. The next one is a coordination model. And that allows you to link a Navisworks file back in. Oh, it doesn't even say that for yours. Do you notice that? Look, hover over that again. Look what his says compared to what ours says. His says link external models from your local disk or from Autodesk Docs for coordination purposes. What does yours say, Eric? Did you want? You're on mute.
I was trying to find my mouse. Coordination model is what we're looking for.
Yeah.
It doesn't when I you know what? I turned my hover off, so when I hover over stuff, I was getting a thing that jams up.
On 2020, it says it links NWD or NWC files into your Revit model, but it doesn't say that in 2025. I just find that bizarre. Click on it once for me. It'll probably open up a window and do a local. And look at that. It says NWD or NWC. So they changed the help, but it doesn't even say what it links in. Bizarre. Go ahead and hit cancel. Autodesk is should be ashamed of themselves. Then
in 2020, you can still export a DWF.
You can in 2020 you can. Okay.
Yeah.
But I thought for some reason, because you were getting really good at doing the DWF and the DWF markup, I thought that went away some years ago.
Yeah, I thought Navis kind of started flushing that out.
All right, so the next one after that is Link PDF, which we had in 2020. We didn't have Link PDF, but we did have Import PDF. So that must be an enhancement. And then the next one is Link Image, where you can only import an image. Now you seem to be able to link the image. So if the image updates, it would update that. Interesting. And then the next one is Manage Links, which we had in ours. And then you're on your imports, and you got import CAD, import XML, import PDF, import image. And you don't have the manage images. They must have combined that manage links. If you picked on the manage links for me button, there you go.
Type up at the top left corner.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
They've now added images to that.
They're all there.
They're all there. And they all, and when he hits all, it shows all of them at one time, so you don't have to go through the tabs. So it's showing you all the pictures, all the screenshots that you brought in. Interesting. Interesting. I don't know that that's a real enhancement. And then the last two, if you get out of that, last two say load family. And you load as group. What is load Autodesk family? If you hit that one, what does that do?
Is that from like the Autodesk library from maybe their website?
That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Switch to subscription to use load Autodesk family. So when you if you have a subscription, then it takes you out to where they have all of their families. We'll need to get Jaffe to look at that one on Friday.
Revit families or Autodesk families?
I'm guessing
Revit families.
Revit families that they provide for you.
I wonder if they finally updated their library and then that's where they store it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But the gist of it is there's not a whole lot to draw under the insert tab. That's going to be at a higher level. And like I said, we will come back to them. So we've covered architecture and we've covered insert. And what I think I want to do is I want to go ahead and cover annotate.
Okay.
So if you would do me a favor and pick your image that's in your screen and do a HH, and that's temporary hide.
Huh.
That's down where those sunglasses are, and hide object is what that just did.
Okay.
And you would hit those eyeglasses and hit reset if you want your image back on, but don't turn it back on. Well, you can turn it on and turn it off. That'd be fine. So the first dimension on there is dimension aligned. We don't typically use the dimension linear. So we normally use the dimension aligned. Okay. And now, once you've done that, you'll notice that in your tachometer area, it says dimension to wall center line. But typically, we would either do faces of wall or faces of core.
Does it matter which one?
I would do wall faces.
Okay. So
now you would start with your outside, your furthest wall. Yep, pick that would be fine. Now go down to the front wall.
The front wall or
the balcony or the balcony, right? Go a little bit further out, man. You can end up dragging it later.
Okay.
But now do one that goes from that same wall you picked first. And then comes down and picks the next wall on the outside of the building. Nope. No, the back wall above the master bedroom.
Isn't right?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
And then the front of the main bedroom. Yep, keep going. No, don't go, because we're not going to go through the building with this dimension.
We're just hitting exterior walls now.
Just the exterior walls is what we're hitting.
Oh, okay.
So bedroom number 2. Yep.
Right here?
No, not that one, but the front wall. That wall.
Okay.
And then the next wall above bedroom 3. Look at bedroom 3. Get that front of that wall. And
then complete the string with the porch.
On the outside?
That'd be fine. Now, go out there to the last dimension you put, and you're going to find there's a snappy spot. So go out where you just did the 34 foot. Feel it? Did you feel that? That's
Yeah.
where it wants to sit.
That's where that's where your spacing is set to be, that so that that's exactly the spacing apart from the 2-dimension lines.
Okay.
And now what we would do on the master bedroom and the bedroom, you would pick up those two edges, that 25 foot 0.5, and you would pick up that window as well. So in other words, pick the same walls. Pick the same wall, not that wall. That wall. Uh-huh.
This wall right here?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And now pick the one in the bedroom number 2. And either the center of the window or the edges of those two windows in master bedroom.
These right here?
Yep. And sometimes people like to go to the center of the window, and sometimes people like to go to the edges of the window.
Doesn't matter which one right now.
Center's fine. Center's fine. Find that snappy point, and that's what this thing would look like until you have everything dimensioned on the outside of the building. Then you would run some dimensions through your building and pick up all the interior wall locations.
And unless the people that we're working for want to snap to the exterior or the outsides of the windows, I always go center because it's one less click.
Okay. So does
Okay,
it matter what? Well, yeah, I guess it does.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask a stupid question. I was gonna say, does it matter where I start next? But it does.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't. And there is no right or wrong other than if you don't dimension something. But if you hit escape 2 times, what you're going to find is something sort of cool.
Okay.
All right. So that one in bedroom number 2, the wall that we've dimensioned, pick that wall.
This one right here?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
You see how all your dimensions, they sort of got a little bit of blue to them?
These? Yeah.
Yep. So that 25 foot 0.5, I would probably make that 25. Just type in 25 and hit enter. Right?
Okay.
So now what happens is when you go to the window that's in those bedrooms, you would find that if you moved it to 10 foot 10, you would end up with 2 clean dimensions.
This one right here?
Yeah. Yep. Instead of being 10 foot 10.25, you just make it 10 foot 10 space 10. Now you see how your dimensions start to clean themselves up.
Yeah.
So you don't have all the fractions and you work the fractions out of your job. You're going to sometimes need to have fractions, but
okay,
the guy placing the window is going to be like, really? You want me to be a 1/4 inch when they're just doing rough framing? It just makes you look bad.
Now I have a question. What if, for example, if I go back down here and I reset this, this image, it shows what, 35.2?
Uh-huh.
What if they want specific ones? Do I just add those to those? Like, I know this one would go to the outside, the very outside. But if they had specific dimensions for this,
I would probably be making that up in the porch. So if you picked your handrail out there.
Hold on, let me.
The second you pick that handrail, that 34 foot 5 1/4 should.
Is it because I'm not? I wasn't in.
No, nope. It should be saying activate dimensions.
He either, is there a floor out there? Is there a slab out there that he might have snapped to? No, it's going to pick the.
Yeah, that's what's happening. Can you hold your control and pick the wall that's right behind that?
Right.
Uh-huh. That one. How about the window too? How come he's not getting activate dimensions?
Is that a railing or is that a wall?
It's a railing. This is a railing. This is a wall.
Because the rail.
You cut out this time.
Yeah, you cut out pretty bad right there.
Sorry, I was just saying that the railing is set up by a path. I don't know that a railing works the same way there.
Yeah, but I would still think you would be able to get the activate dimensions. Why is he not getting activate dimensions?
I do not know.
I want to try that real quick. Hold on, just bear with me. So architecture and do a railing. Finish and a dimension.
I'm going to step out for a minute.
All right. Well, I guess it doesn't ever do it. Oh, yes, it did. Yeah, that's why. It's because it's dimensioning to a railing. Because it's to a sketch path.
Okay, so what you're saying is if I were to put like the decking in first?
Yep. And dimension to the decking. And that's a very important thing. That's why most people would think, I don't know, Brian, maybe I don't want to dimension yet until after I put in all of my equipment, right? If you unhide your image and make it transparent, so you actually, we're going to do something even different. So the reason that you made the view transparent was because you could no longer see your image, right?
Yeah.
And the reason you can't see your image is because you drew a floor, and that floor is hiding everything that's below it. So remember your VV command? Go down to floors. And I know nope, that was a good idea, but don't do that.
Okay.
All right. If you look at your floors and you look across the top of the table, it says projection surface, lines, patterns, and transparency.
Yeah.
Click on the one that says transparency and make it 50% transparency, and it's going to do something really cool. And okay, all the way out. Ah, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
It sort of lets it semi see through. And now you can see the tags as well as you can see the stuff that's behind there.
Right.
Does that make sense? Now, what I was going to tell you was most people would be saying, Brian, I don't want a dimension yet. I want to go put in my kitchen cabinets, and I want to put in my refrigerator and my shower and my bathroom stall and my walk-in closets and all of that kind of stuff. And then I'll do the dimensioning. And here's the problem I would warn anyone that might be watching this, and you yourself, Nathan. If you put all of that stuff in and you start dimensioning, just like you dimension to the handrail, you're going to find you think you're dimensioning to the wall behind the stove, but you're actually going to be dimensioning to the stove, which causes things to work completely different. Because then when you pick the wall, it's not going to highlight the dimension and allow you to move the wall from the dimension. It's going to be high. It's going to be wanting you to pick the stove. And then if you change the dimension, then it's going to push the stove into the wall. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, to me, it would make sense more to do your dimensions once you have the actual structure built and forget about all the interior for now. Because
or when you remember, or when you come time to dimensioning, you just want to make sure that the only thing that's turned on in the view is dimensions, walls, doors, and windows, and then go do your dimensioning. But as I said, most people, beginner mistake is I'll come to their file and they're like, Brian, why can't I do that neat little activate dimension? And it's because instead of dimensioning to the walls, they were dimensioning to that piece of closet shelf. Because when you put the closet shelf in there, that's how it works. So you could play with dimensioning for a while. And you could also then start to put the other stuff in there. So you know that My Computer window that you got open where we searched for a casement window?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's search for a closet shelf. See that closet shelf and pole,
Yeah.
right? And that you can just drag and drop into your file. Said there was already one there, and say overwrite existing is that's fine. And now you could place it. And what you're going to do, and what I would recommend doing is do your dimensioning and then go back and put these objects in. And what you do is, I think you draw that one is a line based. Don't do the U-shaped one. Do one of the simple ones, one of the little closets,
Oh, okay.
one that's just a straight line.
Right here.
Yep. And if you just trace the back wall, I think it wants you to pick the 2 back corners. Pick and pick. Uh-huh.
And right here.
See that put that little rod in there. If you went and looked at it in 3D, you would actually see what it looks like. Go back to your floor plan. Pick on that closet shelf. Type in BX.
Oh yeah. Right.
And there's your closet shelf.
Cool. That is pretty easy.
Go back to your first floor. They don't even have closet doors on these closets. That's a little bit surprising. None of the closets have actual closet doors.
I don't think this is a really developed plan.
Floor plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're probably right to an extent. Maybe in some area. I've never seen anything without closet doors, but so my recommendation is sling a few more dimensions and then start trying to populate. You're going to find countertops, wall cabinets. You're going to find the sink. Some of those things you're going to be able to find, some of them not. You're going to try to find a bathtub.
Oh, sorry.
Populate it just a little bit more. Oh, no. What did you do?
Bubba, quit it. Hold on.
You're fine. Oh, it came back. There you go.
Sorry. He's a loudmouth.
You're fine.
Yeah.
And even the car, you should be able to find one of those guys as well.
Okay. Oh.
And this is today's Wednesday.
I think the problem that I'm gonna run into is like the layering. Like I don't know, I wouldn't know the format as to where to put these. Like I know they snap to each other, but do I keep going in to the right?
No, I'll tell you what. You don't need to do a whole lot more with dimensioning. I'll show you. You need to understand more because every architect or every designer is going to feel differently about how that gets dimensioned. So there really isn't a right or wrong. All I was trying to do was get you to draw as much as you could. And I'll be honest with you, you're way ahead of schedule. What I'd like you to do is to spend the rest of today trying to populate the closet shelves, any other details that you see missing. Did you ever get anywhere with the dormers?
No, we didn't touch on those.
So see if you can get those dormers. See if you can get that one little back roof, that part of the back roof.
Yeah.
Show me your picture of that came with the floor plan. You remember that colored picture they had?
Oh.
Not the floor plan, but the other one. That one. You need some columns. You need a little bit of work at the brick or at the chimney. You know, put a cap on top of it.
Yeah.
It looks like your one window beside your garage door you could make a little bit better. See how it's supposed to be like an octagon?
Yeah. I
See,
actually
you
don't think I have that in there.
know,
I don't think so.
at the garage door.
I don't.
Oh. So there should be a little, and you can see right there you've got some issue with your windows. Some of your windows
Yeah.
are too tall,
Yeah.
right? So see if you can play with those heights to get those a little bit more realistic. Remember, because more than likely they're just too tall
Right.
because you didn't know what height to pick them. What they generally, an architectural rule is your tops of your doors should line up with your tops of your windows.
Okay. So bring the top of this down to here.
Yep. And let's just check that and see what it does. Pick that window and say
Right.
edit type, and you see what happens is you made a very tall window, a 72-inch. That's a 6-foot high window, and it's probably more like 4 foot high. Right? See how that's
About.
pretty close to the top of the window, and then the one beside it should be 4 foot high. Yeah. And it was 3 foot high. Now it's probably going to, oh, that's perfect because it went to the sill heights. And just try to get enough clicks in today. And I think tomorrow we may forego the meeting, or maybe we could meet in the morning to go over any questions you have. And then once we do that, I think I might want you to come on down and pick up this monitor.
Okay.
If you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, that's fine. Tomorrow works.
I don't want to keep putting it on because I want you to be able to save your changes.
Yeah. I do think that would be beneficial, especially for the progress. I have a question.
Tell me.
Is this roof supposed to look like that?
Remember what we talked about earlier this morning? That roof.
Oh,
Pick
right.
that roof.
Right. Yes. Okay.
Edit footprint.
Edit footprint.
And if you look at this thing more from the top view, it just doesn't have that kick on it. All right. So what I would delete is, I would delete all of that weird kick. This should just be a rectangle shape. From there over to the other side. Yep. And one more.
This one?
Yep.
I got you.
I'd delete all that. And then I'd trim those two together or stretch those just like you're about to do. And I think that's going to be more representative. So go ahead and finish that up. Now, orbit your view up a little bit, and you need another little roof just over those punched out guys.
Okay. What happened there?
Well, that's because that overhang wasn't quite enough. So if you edit that foot, remember you were going to offset all those by like 1 foot.
Yeah.
Double click on it to go into edit that mode. Look at it from the top view. Use your offset command.
Right.
Nope. It's over by the mirror, which is the 2 triangles. That's it. You're right next to it. That was it right there.
I got you.
Make sure you turn copy off.
Turn copy off. Okay.
Right.
And then can I just click on each one of them?
Yep. That was where I showed you to. You can click on each one, or you could have also done tab. You're clicking that one the wrong way.
I got you. Okay.
Go to the other side of that line. There you go.
There
you go.
it is. Okay, but I messed up.
By
I
having
should,
two of them in there, correct?
yeah, okay. How do I how would I quickly just, you know, can I just go back?
You could hit the red X and it would undo those changes, saying that you want to discard those changes,
Okay, and then
and then edit footprint, and then do that offset. Make sure
no
it's a move.
copy.
And you probably want it to be 1 foot.
Yeah,
And
that's what yeah.
right. And now if you hover, and now tab. Can you tab?
I am.
All right. So what's happening is you're actually still where you typed in the 1 foot. So click
Oh,
once in, no, just click once in the black space with your roller wheel. Now go down there and do that hover and tab, and it'll work.
do I want the overhang for the outside as well?
I think I would. Yep.
Okay.
I would think if it might not be a foot, it might only be 6 inches on those rake ends, but that's you're more than good with that, because what's going to happen is now you have enough roof to clean up those walls. So when you finish and look at it, you're going to see that those walls, with the exception of that one punch, are good. See, before you had a whole bunch of walls that were out there. Now you just got that one little thing that you got to put a roof on.
Yeah. Now, I would have to look at it from this type of view, right? When I actually get the roof on, that way I can level it with this roof.
If you wanted it leveled with that roof, that's correct. Or to be quite honest with you, if you're going under that premise, if you wanted to edit that roof again, that footprint, all right, look at this thing from the top. All right, now just trace around that little punch out that you're talking about
With the roof?
With a boundary line. Boundary line.
Oh, okay.
It's actually in boundary line by default. So you picking the line was fine. Now just trace those 3 walls.
From the snap point, or?
Yep, that's good. All right, then you need to do a split element and split. Yep.
Split element?
Go ahead and do that last click.
Okay.
Now split that thing. Perfect. Now delete that, escape 2 times. Delete that centerpiece. Nope, down. That one, yep. And now, just to help Revit, you see how both of those lines along that back edge have a defined slope? Take one of those defined slopes off. It doesn't matter which one. Pick that, take the defined slope off. And if you now finish, it's going to work. Go take a look at it. And all you have to do is attach those 2 walls to the roof, and it would fix it. Oh, pick just one wall. Pick one. You got to pick one wall at a time in order for that attached top to work. Roof, the roof.
Oh yeah. Okay. Oh wait.
You pick the wall, then you say attach top, and then you pick the roof.
Okay. Attach top, roof.
Huh. What is that wall? I don't even think you need that wall anymore.
That wall was the one he was using to close in, but he got the other one to go up.
Yep, that's correct.
Oh,
that wall just goes away. Those 2 just get deleted.
Okay. That does look a lot better. Now, this gap is irritating.
That one there just needs to get attached to that thing. Yep.
Okay. that looks a lot better. That's not matching the overhang though. So would I
What
have to? Hold on, I'm confusing myself here. Okay.
Yep, you could offset those overhangs. Mm-hmm. No, I would not do the tab. Just do them one at a time, and you're gonna. If you weren't doing a copy, you would have been good. But you did a copy.
Oh, okay. So control does copy. Okay. I was just trying to select each one. I don't know why.
See how it moves that join so that it keeps that continue. You're good there. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. I was just pointing at what you were saying. Cool.
Show me your picture one more time. The one that came with it, of the elevation of the front of the house.
The elevation? Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. I'll tell you what you missed. Your front of your roof goes all the way out to the porch edge.
Yeah.
Those dormers are actually stacked right over top of the wall. So that front face of that dormer, that little window thing in there, is actually lined up with the wall below it. Yep.
Okay.
And you can't do that the way you built yours. Take you back to yours. Because when you look around there, if you put your dormer at that front face, it's going to be way low down. So what we need to do is widen that roof to include that front porch.
Okay.
Right? And all you need to do is drag that one purple out. Bear with me.
Aha. I messed up again. See if I remember how to do this. Okay. Modify. Split. Hmm.
You got that one drawn backwards, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. I realized my mistake. I fixed it over here. That
Yep,
was last night. This
Yep.
wall was still interior.
Yep. And you had to break it into two different pieces.
Right, and I did the same thing over
You're
here and over
making
here.
good ground. You're making real good ground.
Now I flipping it. How would
Space
I?
bar.
Okay, yep, that's the one. There you go.
And I think there's also a little flip controller when you pick that. Let me pick a wall on my file. I swear there's a flip controller. Nope,
There's
I
a-
don't see it.
There's a rotate, but I don't see a flip.
No, but I think if you pick the wall and you right click, is there a flip on there? Select join, change walls orientation.
Okay, that's just the flip then.
That's just the flip.
Okay.
Like I said, I promise you, there's always a second way to do anything.
Yeah. Is that because they're intersecting?
Yep.
The way
I think what you would actually find is if you use the join command, you can clean those up.
join. Is that? I'm just trying to remember where things are.
You're on the right tab. Keep going over to the left. Keep going over to the left. Right there. You got it.
Okay.
And you're picking that, and then that. Then you're gonna pick it again.
Is it the wall that I'm picking, or is it this one?
Really about feel. Yep. Try that.
Okay.
And remember this. The join command was exactly like the cut command I showed you earlier. It's which one you pick first. So if it didn't work, you might hit undo and you might pick the front wall first and then the side wall second.
There you go.
See how that one worked and the other one didn't?
Yeah. Same thing over here then.
Yep.
What is that?
Those are your walls inside.
That wasn't showing before, was it?
I think it's because your one roof wall got moved just a little bit.
Oh, okay. So I gotta like move it out here.
No, I think what you did was you picked those walls and you attached them to the high roof, and that's why they're going up there. You with me?
Okay.
That wall right there. That one right there. Say detach top. And pick that high roof. And see, you had attached them to that high roof, and that's why they went up there.
I got you.
You had too much selected when you attached it.
And then, okay, it was the join.
Yep.
Click. Where's it at?
Remember to use your tab button if you can't quite select it.
It won't let me.
Oh, it's just because you're not on the right edge. When you're on the right edge, it'll let you. Oh, it can be frustrating. There you go. There you go.
Cool. Wait, did it join it? It's still a little.
It's having another problem. It's joining with that little short wall that returns back to the garage door.
Right here.
Yep, that's the one that's giving you the heartache.
Okay.
And it's partially because you extended that to go up to the roof, and it didn't need to because you have a wall built on top of it. Yep. See where I'm coming from?
Yeah. So okay, I got you. Okay. So if I were to select this,
Did you pick two objects or just one? Just one.
just one. I was thinking maybe since this goes all the way up and this wall is already there, it would just fill in its place. No.
Yep, yep. And I think that what you want to do is join that one the other way, the end cap piece with that.
Right. Okay. So join, and then this with that. Right.
Yep. But do not in it. You picked a wrong wall.
Right.
Whatever you picked the first one doesn't even hit the second one.
It's just this orientate. Is that it?
Oh wait, that wall. There's no way that wall's right. Because you wouldn't have that siding going all the way down there. I see what's overlapping now.
What is it?
In other words, you hit escape 2 times and
Okay.
pick that wall. Okay, now pick the wall below it. I don't know. I think it's a little bit hard for me to tell, and that's how they get built up there. It does get frustrating. Now, typically, what would happen is I would tell someone not to worry so much about those lines. I was just trying to show you how to use the join.
Yeah.
Because if you look back at your picture, what you'd actually find is you really need a piece of corner trim. I'm talking about the front elevation. Remember, you're at that the picture that you downloaded or took a snippet of.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the one. See how there's actually corner trim on all of your corners, a little white strip that goes over top of the siding?
Yeah.
Nope, going up and down, up and down.
Oh.
Right there. You see that trim?
Yeah.
That would end up covering all of the stuff that you're working so hard to do.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I was just concerned because I didn't know if having those pieces not correctly joined and in place would potentially mess up. You know, if I had to.
Well, what it looks like is somehow show me that. Look directly at the front view. All right, so you have that outer edge pretty close to being lined up. The roof over top of your bedrooms probably needs to go up just a hair. Can you see how it's hanging a little bit low?
Yeah. Yeah. I see that. Wait, are they hanging low? I thought they were at the same height. No.
It
But,
depends on how you create it. If you create with the overhang, that'll actually lower those edges.
Oh, that's right.
One is created with an overhang and one is created without. But understand, you could pick that one that's hanging low, and you could use your up arrow and nudge them into alignment with each other. All I'm trying to say is they typically line up all those fascias together.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking maybe I could just not do that, but maybe I could just edit this and then put the overhang on and it would adjust it.
Yeah, it would. It would adjust it.
Okay. Just trying to get my view down. Okay. Where's it at?
No,
I'm
you're
not
close.
on the right thing.
You're on the right thing. It's there. No, right there.
There it is.
It just takes a little bit, but just stay calm and relaxed.
That's it, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then back to my
Then
face.
see how they're looking. See, the one on the one side, I would still end up nudging up the one over by the bedrooms.
Yeah.
Not that. That changes the slope of the roof. So you made your roof steeper.
Okay, so I just use my arrow key?
Just use your arrow key. There
How would
you
I
go.
know? How would I know when I'm in line? Does it tell me?
You could do a move, and then you could snap to the one line, snap to the other line. I mean, your question's a good question. My thing is, I want you to know how to do it, but I don't want you to worry about doing it. I want you to get more done because we can't save this file. So I don't want you to kill yourself trying to make this file perfect. I want to try to make it more content. And you see what happens now is you're using different pitch roofs. So pick each one of those roofs one at a time and let's check the pitch. That one there is a 512 pitch. It's called slope.
Yeah.
Check your next one. That one there is not a 512. And then we said edit footprint. Pick the one that has the slope triangle on it. You see that bugger number you got there? 7.768, 256. Look at your slope.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, see that? That should be a 512. Check the one on the back. That was a 9. That was a really bugger number. See, because what happened is whenever you were playing with it before with the 3 little kicks in it, you would stretch it to some really bugger numbers.
Yeah.
Do a finish on that.
This one doesn't have a slope, so I can't change it.
Nope, it doesn't have a slope. Leave it alone because you got just a 2 defining the slope. And that becomes more realistic of what it was drawing.
Okay. Well, now we have a little bit of nuanced things here.
Well,
I
what
need to
ends up
fix up.
happening is those roofs end up joining with each other. The back roof doesn't have all the kicks, the front roof does. You couldn't tell that from the picture you were looking at. You
Yeah.
with me?
Yeah.
And see what this does is this makes this roof much more simple to actually roof
Right.
on that back edge.
Okay.
And
So
you see how it's built with 3 different roofs? If you use your joins together,
that's what I was about to say.
if they're in the exact same plane, they will actually join together. That shows me that if I zoomed real close in there, they weren't quite exact.
Like my clicks or the
Closer zoom. See that little bit that is there?
Yeah.
Gonna take you a little bit to get comfortable with navigating that. Don't get frustrated, okay?
Yeah. Wait, so I got so my click was wrong, or are they just not connected right?
Your lines are a little bit off.
That is very tedious.
Try joining the other 2 at the other end. They look like they are at the same spot, and I think they will join.
Yeah.
Okay. I see it. You see if you look at it from the end, that's where you'll be able to see the difference. Not that end, the other end.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Look straight at that end. Click on your cube on the right side. Zoom into real close. Pick the high roof. Hit it. Get out of your join command. You're still in your join command. Pick on the high roof. Nope, that one. That one there. Yep. No, the one that's high. that one, and go to move. You know where your move is? It's right below your offset command. That's copy. Over one is move. Now, click on that high corner.
This one right here?
Yep. And go straight down till it snaps. Now go look at that thing in 3D. See how the line has disappeared?
Yeah. Has it disappeared, or are these two just to show the separation between the roofs?
Well, that's gone. That wouldn't print. You wouldn't see it. I'm not seeing it on my screen, so you may only be seeing a ghost of it. No, those are joined together.
Okay.
Now I can see it a little bit, but that's not like that would show up. That's only because at that certain angle you can see it a little bit. Now the back fascia, the horizontal part of that one roof is a little bit off. I can see that. Not that one, the other end.
This end?
Yep. If you see where that roof joins the other roof, you're just a little bit off.
Yeah.
Bear with me. Try and stream.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Mike with Unity Financial on recorded line. How are you doing?
I'm not interested today. Thank you. And like I said, what you're struggling right here, I want you to struggle on a real job. I don't want you to struggle with on a fake job. Those roofs, you're going deep into an area where I still want you to stay in the shallow end. What I really want you to try to do is flush out the rest of the building, put on your porches and your patios, and come back to me with what you can't do.
Okay. This patio and this decking, would this be on the same level as my flooring?
Not typically. Typically, that would want to step down at least 2 or 3 inches. The reason being, you wouldn't want rain to come up on that porch and go right underneath your door.
Okay.
But I don't think I would make another level for it. I would just put first of all, I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
So, let's see. This is sort of your front porch area. When you're putting in that floor, all right, you would be looking for, if you don't have one out here, you might have one that was a concrete porch or wood porch, and you could decide what it was built as, but that's not where I'm after. What I'm after is, I'm going to go with something like this. Maybe I got a ceramic tile porch, and that front porch is sitting right here, like that. Actuality, and very important when you draw those, is, you know what, this is a floor as opposed to a roof. So you can't pick this thing here and say define. Oh, you can right there. Define slope. But there's another way that we can put a slope on a project, on a object, and that is to say put a slope arrow. And you draw this arrow in here, and then this guy would actually be at, this is my height at the tail, and I could make this be slope. And do you know what you're always supposed to slope that stuff at? Is 1/4 inch, right?
Okay.
Now, I would then look at it in this direction, and it would probably start about 2 inches below. That's how that deck actually gets built.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
But I'm not expecting you to build that exactly that way. I wanted you to show you where your slope arrow was. But the bigger picture is any slab next to a building, you would always want to make sure you're getting that water away from the building and not into the building. Could it be exactly at that same location? And this is where, now notice how I pick that object and then I do the rotate. Could it be exactly there? Sure. If this is wheelchair accessible, you would want that to line up right at the bottom so that a person could come up on a wheelchair and get into that front door without having to go up a 2-inch step. So you asking me, is that porch at the same level? That depends. It really depends. Is it ADA accessible? Is it
Okay.
in a heavy rain climate? Is it what you want? Is it what the client wants? There are no hard and fast rules for all of those things. It really depends what that is. What's more important to me is if I tell you it's down 2 inches, can you make it go down 2 inches? So you see, I just put it right at 0.
Mm-hmm.
If Brian's telling me it needs to be down 2 inches, I just go here and I would go 1, 2. I'm not zoomed in far enough. 1, 2. Now I know I'm exactly down 2 inches. So that some point later down the line, when I got to put a dimension in there, which of course you're going to find out, you can't put a dimension in a 3D view, but you could in a section. You know, we could end up coming back in a week or two when we're setting up our drawings, cut our beautiful section here, and find out that, yes, indeed, Brian had that exactly at 2 inches. Or over here,
And
we started talking about these dimensions. What you're going to find is you could say a spot dimension here is 0, and this is -2. And those are the ways that we end up annotating these jobs. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to try to place the rest of the equipment that you've got in your project. And then I'd like you to roll down these things to see, okay, so one of the things that you're going to end up coming back to me with is, Brian, I couldn't find anything for that tub. Well, could you draw a detail line to show me something that looked like that tub? And then once I did that, I'd probably do something like this. Right?
yeah.
So the idea is using this annotate tab. And what do we have? We also have filled regions. And what are these components? These components are 2D stickers. So this is like a wide flange shape. But what you would find is this wide flange shape. Notice I'm going to draw this right out here. Actually, I'm going to rotate that around with my space bar. And I'm going to say, oh, I'm going to put columns out here, right? And in plan view, this looks good. Look, I got columns. But notice in my 3D view, no columns. Well, watch this. Architectural, structural column. There's my wide flange shape, right? Notice this one. Oh, I want this to be height instead of depth because I told you structural people are crazy. They draw down where architects draw up. Notice how these wide flange shapes actually draw those columns in my 3D view. And then I want you to say, Brian, why the heck is that? Why is it when I drew the one, they didn't show up? Why do these not show up? These are 2D stickers. They're underneath the annotate tab. All of this stuff here on this tab, and you'll notice that when I'm in a 3D view, I can't do most of it. The reason all these things were grayed out was because I wasn't in a 2D view. I wasn't in a plan view, right? So any of these components, any of these regions, any of these detail lines, when I draw them, they only show up in this one view. They don't show up in my model. And that's something I still need to get you to grasp and digest, is the difference between a model and a drafting view, and the difference between drafting objects and model objects.
Okay.
What I need you to do is I need you to try to make that plan. I'm going to kick back, open up your Revit, pull your Revit back up to the top.
It's up.
I want you to try to flush that plan out a little bit more. You know how you hid the plan? See, you should have those 2 terraces and those porch. Hide that image once where we pick the image and we go HH. You see all the other stuff that sort of disappeared, all the kitchen stuff, the garage stuff.
Yeah.
You see, we got the closet rods in there. I want you to try to do a little bit more of that today. And then I want to basically, we're going to start over from scratch after you get your Revit that you can actually run. But I don't see, instead of you going for the real fine detail stuff right now, I don't want to do that until you can save it, because then what happens is then I can say, listen, Nathan, save your file. Let me look at your file and I'll tell you where you went wrong. There's only so much I can do when you're driving it. When you say, well, Brian, where aren't those 2 roofs joining up? And I'm like, well, if I could click on it, I could tell you exactly why they're not doing it. But it's hard to walk you to why it's not doing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, getting hands-on is definitely a better way to explain a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, that way you can get in here and evaluate and analyze what I did and what I did wrong or what I did right.
Yep. And see, what I'm looking for is those terraces. Those look like there's some kind of paver. And the front porch, go ahead and look at that shared screen that I'm sharing with you again.
Okay.
All right. So this is that porch. This is a porch. And you should be saying, well, Brian, I know I can duplicate this. And granted, you would name it a little bit better, which I don't even really need you to do. What I need you to be able to do is to come here and know that if I take this top surface, bear with me, it's on another screen. If I take that top surface and I apply, I don't really have a good one here, but I'm going to duplicate this wood one. Normally, I would name that thing and say that the pattern was this wood boards. Watch what happens now. You see how it now looks like wood, a wood deck?
Yeah.
See how over here it looks like a wood deck?
Yeah.
And then in the back of your building, you had some terraces, right? Or I might call those pavers. And you might actually measure what the size of that paver was. But what I'm looking for you to do is to be able to, oh, I need to duplicate that. Now, this is where I would be saying, typically we would name this all good. And remember what I told you before, if I'm going to name it, I'm going to take that and put that, copy that to the clipboard. So I can come in here and I can take this guy and then I could duplicate this and name that Control V Terrace. And I could say that this thing here, I need a new model pattern that's going to be Terrace. And I'm going to know that that pattern is going to be 24 inches by 24 inches. And now when I okay all the way out of this thing,
Creates a terrace pattern that you edited.
correct. Not sure why it got so whacked out. Let's see, terrace, model pattern, terrace, edit, because I did 24 feet instead of 2 feet by 2 feet. Isn't that more representative of what they have in their model?
Yeah.
And see, what I'm trying to get you to do is push to make your floor plan look a little bit more like their floor plan. I only want you to get to about 80% because, as I said, their floor plan is not great. No one's paying us to do it. And we just don't need to sweat those details because we can't even save the file.
Yeah.
I like your due diligence in wanting to do all of that 100% correct, but I'm just looking for you to get to 80% to the point where, yeah, Nathan, look, your floor plan looks exactly what someone got paid to draw a floor plan looked like. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, draw towards the end of the day, if you want to put this down at like 4 o'clock, shoot me a text when you want to look at it again. We'll jump back on here. Now, I don't know if we can jump back on. That'll be a first test. So when you text me, we're both going to try to jump back on to the one that I emailed you. But
Yeah.
since I went live, I'm not sure if it's going to be available or not.
Okay.
Okay? So if it's not, then I'll just give you another invitation and we'll jump on another one.
Okay.
But I think I'm about ready to take a break for lunch. Maybe you
Yeah,
ought
me
to
too.
do the same. Maybe take a little walk in the woods, get yourself decompressed, and then come back and draw a little bit more. If it pushes and you know you take a break and you decide you go shopping or your girlfriend gives you something to do, if you want to get together tonight, that's just as easy as 4 o'clock to me. So you either text me at 4 or text me around 6:30, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and we'll get back on and look at where you're at, answer any questions you've got, and then talk about you coming down here tomorrow.
Okay. That
Okay.
all sounds good. Yep.
That sound like that work?
Yep. Sounds like a plan.
Try to get at least 2 hours of drawing in because we spent 2 hours together. How's that
Okay.
sound?
Sounds good. I'll probably get more in later tonight or wherever I could fit it in. But
You're doing fine. Don't panic. Don't get overly excited. You're doing good. We're exposing you to a lot of stuff. All right.
yeah.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you after you give me a text.
Brian, just text me and let me know.
All right. I wasn't sure if you were back or not.
No, I've been back. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, we'll just meet later today. You holler at me if you got anything.
All right.
Y'all take
I'll
care.
talk to you guys.
Later.